Okay, Janice, we made it.
We did.
Hello, everyone. It is time for Beadshop Live. And sometimes when we go live, I get a little glitch, and it always happens on a takeover day. But we are here and ready to go.
We are.
Thank, thank you, Janice, for joining in today. We have a fun project for everybody. Um, But before I get started, let me give a big hello to everyone who's watching on all of our Bead Shop social and everyone who's watching on our Great Bead Extravaganza social media today, because today, Wednesday, March 23rd, is the takeover day for us here at the Great Bead Extravaganza. So it's so great to have you all here. And it looks like, Janice, people are just jumping on, so we're going to let everyone jump on. Um, and I'm going to just come over. I know that some of you are old hands at this, at watching us, but for those of you who are new, welcome, welcome. And I just wanted to say that you can find us, all things Bead Shop, at on our Instagram at beadshop.com. Go and join us at our Facebook group on the bead table. We've got lots of wonderful beaders over there ready to chat and share projects and general beady goodness going on. And of course, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button so you won't miss a beat. And we'd love it if you would also follow us over at the Great Bead Extravaganza, because not only are we here with beadshop.com, but there are a lot of wonderful sister and brother companies that we have known for years and years. And we are gearing up towards the big Great Bead Extravaganza weekend coming up in April. Um, I wanted to mention, as before we jump onto this project, Janice, not only with the Great Bead Extravaganza, but with you and I here at beadshop.com, there are literally hundreds of years of learning experience on these channels. And we here at beadshop.com are celebrating 40 years of beady goodness, which seems crazy. So you started, I wanted to give people, as people are still jumping on, I wanted maybe you could share a little bit about this journey that started in 1992 with that brick and mortar store.
Well, it actually started before that.
Yes.
It started with me 60 years ago when I first started making jewelry for my mom in her little antique shop. So I have been working with pliers and chain. It's my first things were I would repair like the broken stuff she got in from the 40s and the 50s. And at that time, in the, you know, 60s, they were not vintage yet.
No, they were just,
They were
they just
just,
were.
yeah, 50. What is it? Vintage is 50 and antique is 75, something like
I
that.
don't
But
know.
they
I think
weren't
that's
even
also it.
vintage. And we
Right.
had buckets and buckets of those old uh, Bohemian glass beads with the pearls and the scaraby finish and the AB finish. And they would have those round clasps in the back for the two
Yes.
strands. And my mother would open them up and then wear it like a flapper. So she'd put it
Right.
over her head. So the clasp was right here. And then there'd be a long loop. We had such good times. I mean, it was, I'd go in after school and I would make jewelry with the beads and the chain and stuff that she got on 37th Street. When she went to visit her sister, she'd go down to Lower Manhattan or Midtown Manhattan and pick up
I
stuff.
love it.
And the most interesting thing is that she bought up a lot of the old bead cards from
Right.
the Czech from Bohemia, sorry, at the time. And they had each size was a card like this, yellowed paper, and it would be written in the most beautiful scroll, like penmanship. and it would have
Right.
the different sizes, and then along the side would be all the beads that shape came in, all the colors. And I took them apart and made jewelry with them.
I love it. I love it.
Now they would be priceless.
Right.
They would be in a
Well,
museum, but
yeah, and we have seen those in museums before.
mhm, I
Those
had
old
hundreds of
cards.
them. And I would
Wow.
just cut those strings, and there were no 2 beads alike. There were beads of the same that but they were different sizes. So I had to, like, I made necklaces and all kinds of things. It was just a great time. But
No,
we
it's so great.
started the store in 1982.
That's correct.
Ashley, my daughter, was just a year old, and I didn't want to work for anyone anymore. And my mom wanted to retire. Lydia wanted to get out, and at least she said she wanted to get out. She didn't really want to get out.
That's
Uh,
well, yeah.
yeah. So it was a struggle, a pillow fight over were we going to rename it? Were we going to get rid of the china and glass and just go beads? And she finally gave in. And in 19, well, we opened the store in 1982,
Yeah,
and I basically did it so I could uh, work remotely. I was working in the store, and I was bringing Ashley in as a baby, and we used to have her toys there. And then after she grew out of her toys, kids would still play with her toys. So we replaced the toys, kept the toys clean over the years, got little
that's right.
table and chairs and, music boxes and different things. But the kids, they'll still write. And people came in who were children in the 80s who came into
Yeah.
the store and then brought their children, and they would say that they played with the toys and now their children were playing with the toys. It was
Yeah. No, we
really
had
fun.
that little toy corner that followed us from store to store, I
Yeah, there
remember.
was always
The
a toy table. Yeah.
the thing that I remember you talking about um with you and with Lydia, and Lydia passed away in 1992, not
Yeah.
long before I actually came on board
Right.
with you at our Palo Alto store.
Hmm.
And I remember you talking about how you and Lydia would go to Manhattan and uh, shop the old, like the old beads, like York beads way back in the day, the basement of beads, and
Yes.
then pushing your shopping cart down Fifth Avenue to back to
The
your
hotel.
hotel and then going through those treasures.
You know
We
how
still
you know that feeling after a
do.
day of bead buying and you're totally exhausted
I
and you
do.
kind of fall back on the bed with your feet still on the floor,
I
and then you
do.
like, "Someone give me a glass of water,
Yeah, just
please, and someone take
please.
my shoes off," and then you
Yes.
crawl and sit up, and then you'd open the bags and you'd go,
Yeah.
"Oh, oh, look at what we got," and there were, it's hard to imagine now. Um, but they actually, York, for instance, actually closed because the floors became too heavy for the
Yeah, like
building.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 5 or 7-story little narrow building on 37th Street,
Mhm,
and the fire department said, "You can't keep these beads here anymore."
mhm. Yeah.
The
It was
elevator, I think, was pulled up by Oscar in the
yeah.
basement by hand.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I went, it was in the basement. That's where all the crystal was.
Yes.
So, on the top were fairly new, uh,
Yes.
boxes
It's
of crystal.
the eye level shelf.
Right,
Yeah.
but as you went down, like, the strata in the earth, you would see, oh, here's the 90s, here's the 80s to the
80s.
70s,
Oh
and
my,
then
yeah,
down here, 60s, 50s, that so it was
absolutely.
yeah, it was quite an
Absolutely.
experience
Those
for sure.
amazing, like, fruit beads and
Mhm.
sugar beads. That's where that
Yes.
they had that the dusting of the
That
glass on the
glass over the
beads,
top. Yeah,
and
so
the weird
beautiful.
shapes and those
Mhm.
weird nauseating colors that
Yeah,
are now popular again, like
yeah.
mint, and that kind of rosy pink and,
Yeah,
um, oh,
they're
it's
so
just,
good. Yeah, it was so
and they
fun.
were on cottons, everything was on cotton strands, and the
Mhm.
strands just fell out of the boxes. They
Yeah,
were hanging out of the boxes, and the floor, it really broom beads. You could have swept everything up, and like we did later, you could sell it as broom beads. It was just,
yeah. By the
um,
by the scoop.
swept up at the end of the
Yeah.
day, everything that didn't get packaged.
Well, I remember that when you and I then moving forward would shop Tucson. And
Mhm.
we've been going to Tucson I've been going to Tucson since 90, probably 93, I think, where I would teach and then sometimes you would come out and you'd meet me. And we always had two pieces of advice for your Tucson adventure.
Yes.
Two pieces of advice. Number one is no spray.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
just how it
Number 1,
is.
saline no spray. Yes.
Yes. And number two, flip flops.
Flip-flops. Yes.
Yes. If you have those two things when you shop
Yes.
Tucson, you're going to be fine. I mean, you need Sharpie
Well,
markers, you need baggies, you need, uh, a
calculator,
calculator, right? You need all those things.
especially
You
a
need a rolly
calculator, because
suitcase.
some of the people could not speak English, but they could
No,
understand a number. So
right?
you would, like, hold the
We'd put it
calculator
in.
up and
Yeah.
go,
This is what we're going to pay.
yeah,
Yeah. And
and then
they'd
you
go
walk
back and
away,
go,
and they go, "No, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no," and then
no,
you
no,
go,
no.
"Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much," and
Yeah.
you'd walk away, and then
Yeah.
they'd pull on you,
That's
"Come
right.
back, come back."
No,
Yeah.
this is what we're going to play because flip-flops are because at the end of the day, like Janice was saying, your feet are so tired that they just have to breathe. So the only shoe you can wear is a flip-flop.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
But so that's a little bit about our history. We're going to be celebrating officially more in April. That will be our official 40th birthday.
Mhm.
I will tell you that I started at the bead shop when we were a brick and mortar in 1992 and was with Janice for about 10 years and then went off on my
I
bead world
know, I know.
adventures.
You went on an
Um,
excellent adventure, and
I
I'm really
did.
glad you did. I mean, you
Yeah,
opened a
well,
great store. You really built your following. It was in a cute area in San Francisco. It was just a great store. It was a
yeah,
great
it was
store.
fun. It was really fun. And then moving on to teaching and doing all of that fun stuff, but coming back into the corral in 2016. So
I
it's
know.
kind of good bookends.
Mm.
But I'm also going to be sharing some more content today, you guys, with the takeover. I have an extra bonus project that I'm going to share with you guys. So take a look and watch that Great Beat Extravaganza group page because it's going to be posted there. So I also am going to give you guys a sneak peek of my new studio space that's here where we'll be doing the broadcasting. So there's all kinds of fun stuff. But stay tuned to the end of the broadcast because I've got some more stuff to share with you. But let's get started, Janice, on this project. Now, this project
Okay.
kind of pays homage to our love of check glass beads here at Beadshop and
Yeah.
through the ages. Now, check glass, we just had a launch yesterday. So if you go to beadshop.com and you take a look in new arrivals, you'll see all of these listed. I'm going to go ahead and add my camera to the mix here, and I'm going
Okay.
to focus on that so we can see. Whoops, sorry about that, everybody. There we go. Now we're fully in. So I've got Janice's project here, but I'm going to put my little pad on that. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the new, it's so unsightly, right? It feels like York beads just sitting here. Um, but launched some beautiful new things. These are the new melon fluted drop beads, which are really beautiful. And you use some of these in your project,
Yeah,
Janice. You
yeah,
use these
that's
ones
the one
here.
I used.
Yeah, and they feel super vintage, right?
Mhm.
For these, I just love them. Let me get down a little closer so you guys can see them. These drops that we've just launched, just so you know, I know that you like sizes. They're a little longer than about 15 millimeters. And then those wide ones right there, a little, sorry, I've got a little bit of glare there, about 8.7 millimeter at the bottom of the drop. These are great, not only the way that you use them in the necklace, Janice, but they're also terrific for earrings. We're going to talk about
Mhm.
that. We also added some new faceted ovals that I think you guys are going to love. This, Janice,
Oh,
when you got this bead,
yes,
the text that I got from Janice was, "This is the best bead she'd ever seen."
it is. And it's so timely with the blue and the gold
Yeah,
with, Ukraine, but I saw that bead, Kate, and I said, I don't even want to sell these. I just rarely, and you know me,
yeah,
rarely do I ever keep any beads. Everyone should know that about me. I am a strong believer in selling things, not hoarding. But
yes.
this
Unlike
bead
me.
with this finish, the
Yeah.
way they did the finish on this particular one is spectacular.
Yeah, and it
Just so good.
so harkens back to, and it's just a little under, just a hair under that 12 millimeter, and at the largest point, it's just under 7.5. And we got some really what I think were fun um, colors and finishes. One
Mhm.
of my favorites, and I don't know, I've been having a moment with white beads lately.
Yeah, I love that one too.
This
I
one.
was ready to use that one. Yes.
Yeah. And it just has, you get, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You get 12 beads on a strand. So these will take
Mhm.
you pretty far. And especially the way that you use them, Janice, we're going to talk about it in that project. But I really love, love, love
Oh,
these guys. And then we've got some, and I've used some in a project, the bonus project that's coming up, and that's going to be, we're going to do that at 1:30 Pacific time. You'll see that there. But this is the 5 millimeter rondelle, also kind of vintage. And this one, Janice, do you remember what this one was called? Cindy Brooke is like, which one is she coveting?
okay. Okay. I'll tell you in just a quick second.
She's going to tell
That
you she's
one
Oh,
is, I
it's the
should know it.
ovals with etched finish,
It's,
maybe?
yes, it is the oval sapphire teal Picasso with a gold wash.
Yes, that's it, right there.
And it's in, under new arrivals. It's
Hmm.
in the third row on my computer.
I love it. I love it. We also introduced a couple of new melon
Yeah.
beads, and I have some here. Also, another little, little rondelle bead
Yeah.
that's sitting here. I've used those in my bonus project. And I also have these we launched a couple of weeks ago. These are 8 millimeter, the 8 millimeter fire polish. So in my project, I'm going to share with you guys later, I've mixed these up, these 8 mils. But look at this one is the apparition mix. Look at how beautiful it goes with this guy, and you can just toss like that little rondelle in there. Beautiful. And then we've got this, this is the Caribbean blue, which goes really nicely with
Mhm.
some of these
Yeah.
guys here. So you can't you can't really go wrong with this check, I'll tell you. And people are saying that they love that 8 millimeter fire polish. I do too. I think it's
Mhm.
gorgeous. I think it's really gorgeous. So let's let's wipe this slate clean actually and
Okay.
get to your project. So, talk to me a little bit, Janice, about your inspiration for this piece, and then we're going to get into it about how to actually put all of this together.
Well, I think you have to first start with that bag of teardrops that
Mm-hmm.
I wire wrapped. I want everyone to see this. So when I start a project, and most of them are cut, because when I start a project, I find something I want to do and then I do it. And I wanted to wire wrap a lot of those teardrops and put them on a necklace. And I wanted to use the fine point chain. I hadn't used it really. It was something that really was popular in the 40s and
Yeah,
50s.
this fine line. Yeah,
String
so
that and
beautiful.
very fine little chain for stringing check glass beads. And so I thought I want to start using it more. So I chose the gold because gold is everywhere now. Gold,
Mm-hmm.
gold, gold. So I started making them and I strung them with the rondelle on the gold chain. And I found that too many and it didn't hang right. They kind of don't. I tried jump rings. I tried adding my fun favorite oval, the Picasso gold teal one, which you
Mm-hmm.
have there. And I finally ended up with three looks really good on this chain. And so I created necklaces that I thought could work together on one clasp, like
Mm-hmm.
the Clio, or they could work with just one at a time or all three together. And so it's a project of both layering and simplicity. It's not
Mm-hmm.
overdoing it, and yet it's not underdoing it. It's just for me, just right. So,
I'm gonna um I'm gonna hold up, let's see. I'm gonna put me up here real quick. And I've got a neck here. And I want to show you guys how these are made to kind of cascade. Okay, so here's this one. So Janice, when you were creating these looks with this fine line and then
mhm.
with this small paperclip chain, which strand did you start with? Because length is everything with these guys, right?
Yeah. I started with, I always start with the shortest strand,
Mm-hmm.
because you can always get longer, but you can't necessarily get shorter.
Right.
So
There we go.
yeah, and then that one I think has the extender on it so you can shorten it or lengthen it.
Right.
But I started with the little rondelle necklace so that it hung. I know it's, you and I wear two different lengths, but
Mm-hmm.
where it came right where I wanted to, and it wanted it to, and I believe it's 16 inches for me. But
Mm-hmm.
what you want to find is you want to find your short length,
Mm-hmm.
and it's it's really pretty easy to do. Kate,
I'm
if
gonna
you
put you
put
on.
me
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
because I want
I
to
got
show,
you.
I'm going to show everyone how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I've got my,
Get your
now I'm all,
pearls.
get my pearls. Did you
There we
know,
go.
I was just reading up on pearls because I am trying to find out when the first pearl necklace was knotted or when the
Oh.
first beads were knotted.
Mm.
And I had this discussion with some beaders yesterday, and we know that they're knotted now to protect them. But I would love to know when the first necklace beads had not the fancy Chinese knots, because those are thousands, those are really old, a couple
Mm-hmm.
thousand years old they could be. But I'm talking about just the knot in between the bead, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't find it anywhere.
Mm.
So find yourself some kind of a necklace. Go up to the mirror. I'm going to put these things in back so they don't interfere. And I want you to not look at the beads. I want you to look at your face in the mirror. So you look straight ahead look at and you'll start to come to a point. I have to look because I don't have anything to see in a mirror. So you look at it and then you go to a point where you go, oh, your face feels right when
Mhm.
it comes to a certain point. Everybody has a different length. Find that length, then go with a tape measure, take it from the middle of the back of your neck, straight down to the center, and measure that. And then that measurement doubled is your ideal short length. So if I
Mhm.
go like up here, I look like Barbara Bush, but if I just I do,
With those
it's
famous
lovely,
pearls.
but
Yep.
remember how we wanted to
I know.
lengthen the curls?
That was picked up by the AP Wire. That was a famous. We'll tell that story someday. The Barbara
So
Bush pearl story.
find that magic length, your first length, and everyone has about 3 lengths. So then you wanna go with your beads, and you wanna find the next length on you. And that feels really good on me. See how it marries the shape of my face?
Mhm.
Just like and so the short one, which is up here, could have if I wanted to put a pendant on it,
Mhm.
where I have to do everything backwards. This one might be a little long, but I could
Mhm.
put a pendant that would come down to like here. I wouldn't need
Right.
to
To
wear
nestle.
this, but
Mhm.
the pendant could come down there and it would also mirror that length.
Be that right length.
So
Yeah.
I should probably get the tape measure and do this, but um,
No, but this
my
makes perfect
lengths are
sense, I
like
think.
16 and then 19, 18 or 19. And then I can wear, let me see if I can show you this. So then, and it's just a matter of how it looks on you. And you take these different measurements, and that's your length. Those are your
That's how you
lengths.
do it.
And
Yeah.
um, keep those measurements with you because you will find that there are necklaces in your closet, your jewelry box you never wear
Mhm.
because they're the wrong length. They just have
Mhm.
to be restrung.
Well,
Uh,
so you did that exact same thing when you
yeah.
created this trio. So this was the one with the fine line chain, and that fine
Mm,
line chain, like Janice mentioned, it is very vintage. You'll see old vintage crystal beads strung on this.
mhm.
Sometimes you hear it called foxtail chain. On beadshop.com, we have it in a lot of the different finishes, and we call it fine line. The way, and I'm going to show you today how we close it up, how we crimp it nicely and securely. But it is fairly thin, so it will fit these rondelles, will
Yeah, fits
string
most of the
right
check
onto it.
glass.
hmm This larger rondelle fits right on it.
Yeah.
Some of the semi-precious that has larger holes, not the tiny ones, but the bigger ones will. You can see even um, these ovals will
Oh,
fit, right? Look at how great that is.
look at
We're
me.
going to, with this shorter piece of fine line, I'm actually going to show you all how to make a little bracelet that has kind of a vintage flair that will go
Mm,
with these. So, so there's this one, and then this one and if you go to the project, this project is called Rain,
tears
Rain,
of rain.
Years
Tears
of
of
Rain.
tears of rain.
And so it will, you'll be able to see the project map, what we call our project maps, so you can see how these all lay out. But these are both done on the fine line. And you can see that Janice also used the little 3 millimeter.
Well, those are the 11-aught metal seed beads.
Oh, are they? The 11 aughts.
Yeah,
That's what they are.
I
Thank
I
you.
didn't have any of the gilt. the
Mm-hmm.
gilded. So I used
The
an
shiny.
old one but it's just
Yeah.
basically the same color. It's the
Yeah.
11-aught metal
Yeah.
seed bead.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's perfect. I was thinking it was the 2 millimeter. That's even better. That 11.
yeah,
We
yeah.
carry those metal seed beads in 11s, 8s, and 6s, and they are some of my favorite beads to use. I'm going to try and get this right in the center there so
So an
you guys can see.
11-aught seed bead a Miyuki won't fit on this chain. I
No,
haven't
but the
tried it.
metal will. But
Yeah,
the
the metal
metal
will.
one will.
Yeah.
And you
But
can
I
see
just
here
wanted to
then.
add, Kate,
Uh-huh.
that if
Sure.
you get that first length right for yourself for your
Mm-hmm.
first necklace, if you want to do a graduated necklace with more strands that aren't like to your exact lengths that work on you,
Mm-hmm.
you can, because the first one, which is the one that mirrors your face,
Mm-hmm.
and reflects the shape of your face,
Right.
captures
It's kind
that,
of
and then
settled
you
there.
can
Yeah.
just go lower, lower, lower with it. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to
Yeah.
go
That
far to
makes
the
sense.
next length. I needed to add that.
I'm going to get a little closer so everybody can see this. That makes sense. Whoops, there we
It's
go.
so pretty on. I
Yeah,
just
it's really nice. And so here, Kim Crawford was asking the strength of this chain. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a close-up view. Kind of hard to see there, but this close-up view, you can see how each strand or each little link of the chain, the way this is machined, it's nice and fluid and flexible, but there are no open parts in it. So it's not going to
Mhm.
get caught, I guess I want to say. It's just going to look really, really nice and easy as it flows around. Let me get that a little closer. So it's nice and, I mean, it's pretty tough, this chain, even though it's so slim. So what you did with these top two, this one's on the fine line. That's the one that you measured to begin with. This one also on the fine line, and you
Mhm.
can see how Janice used the ball head pins that we
Mhm.
carry and then put that little seed bead on top. I wanted to show you, if you didn't have those ball head pins, you could just simply use a regular head pin
You could,
like
and I
that one
could have. I
here.
don't know why. I really
No,
could have.
I love these ball head pins, but these little metal beads that we have really add a nice touch to the
They
end of
do.
head pins. So you could do that. There's that there. There's
Mhm.
the little ball. And you just add, I'll put this one on,
Yeah.
just that little drop there on the bottom. So you
Mhm.
have something that's
Yeah.
close to that. And then you just wire wrapped. You said you used the three, and you guys can see how Janice was experimenting with
Yeah.
the different ones here. So that's how the five looks, right? So if you did want to fill it in a little more, you certainly could. But I do like how the slimness of this is two, four, six, eight, nine of these, four of these rondelles with three of those drops. And then here you've got three and three with this nice longer drop here.
Mhm.
And what you used, Janice, we brought these in, I don't know, it was a month or two ago. These really nice little packets
Love them.
that have all of the little jump rings and stuff in
Mhm.
them. And so
Mhm.
you guys can see how Janice used that jump ring here to connect these two. So instead of wire wrapping link to link, she did it, wire wrapped them, and then connected them with that jump ring. Now, before I left the office the other day, I grabbed, we have offcuts of little chain that we kind of keep in a little bin when we have extras. And so I brought this little pile because I thought that you guys would like to see how, you could if you have little bits of chain laying around, you could use these, and you've seen us do this before. You could use these as your little components, right?
Mhm.
This is our, what we call our My Fair Lady chain.
Mhm.
Okay. This one, and when you get your chain, you kind of want to examine it. If you have little leftovers of chain, you can kind of take a look at them, and they're kind of fun to play around with. Um, but if you look at the chain right here, you can see that this chain link actually opens up like this. Okay, so you don't even have to cut anything away to take this apart. So I could just simply lift which side, it's hard to even tell which side to, there we go. And then this little component comes out. I could set that aside to use, and then I could take this one off on this side. You kind of have to test it to see which one. I think this is the
Well,
side that
they're so
opens.
well closed.
Yeah, that you kind of have to tell it. There we go. There it is. And so here's that little placket that you could then use. Obviously, it's the wrong
Mhm.
color story here, but you could put one of these little,
You could.
um, those My Fair Lady components, right? We also carry, this is our chain that we call two lanterns.
You're
And these
showing all
have,
my favorite chain.
right, are you, well, I know I love all these chains. This one, this two lanterns, can you see it has two lantern shaped components? One is a little bit larger, one's a little bit smaller. But you could mix and match these. Like here it is from the My Fair Lady chain. I'm sorry. Yeah, the My Fair Lady chain that
Mhm.
we call it. And Curtis is asking, while I'm putting this together, Curtis is asking, Janice, when you were sitting with this collection of beads, how long did this design process take you? Do you have a
Curtis,
memory of that?
I do.
It took you 60 years.
No, because of the using the fine line chain and wanting it to hang correctly
Mm-hmm.
and starting with one idea and then going to another, I would say that it took me about 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't 8 hours in one day, but it was over a process of about 3 weeks that I made some of it, tried it, oh, didn't like it, then I like this. And so sometimes things take an hour and boom, I have it all and it comes out the way I want it. But this one, because I wanted it to just be just so, it took me it took me a while to get happy with it because I also when Kate sent me all those different beads, I was
Right.
trying different color combinations together, and I liked them all. Um, but that's a long answer for a short question.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that answer because it is true. You know, even sometimes the most simple pieces take a little just more time. That's
Mhm,
how it is. Because each piece that you put in really has to shine. You can't hide it
mhm,
under other beads. So see here how I opened up that piece of the My Fair Lady chain, and then I added that two lantern chain to it, and then you could wire wrap and put that little dangle to the end. So you can mix and match these fancier chains. And this one is one of my favorites. This is Rustico, which is a hammered
mhm,
flat. These are all soldered. They're not an open link, so you do have to clip one. But having these little flat, round components are great. And you could use them in singles or you could use them in stacks of three. I just clipped this chain so you can see. And it's a nice little stack of three that you
mhm.
could put in between, right? So So even if you have little bits of chain left over, right, you can use these to your advantage with an earring. Here's that paper clip chain. This is the large paper clip. You could simply just wire wrap this little bead right on the bottom of that and have a really nice, simple kind of contemporary looking earring. So that's what I wanted to share with you about this chain. But
I
let's
don't
move on
throw
to
any chain out.
no, even like this one. This is the one we call fancy pants, this one here.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
these components on that one. Um, so I have one of our little pieces of this fine line chain, and I want to show you all. This is the closure, and let me get it to. Janice did a couple of ways. She used the small paper clip, and she used this small lobster claw, and that closes off here with a little
The
briolet on
lobster
the
claw,
end.
Kate, was from that little container.
That little container, right, of
Yeah.
these little charmers.
Yeah,
And then,
could I just add about the clasps?
sure,
There's a because I tried these little containers, and there's one thing that I noticed is that the clasps, both the spring ring and the lobster, are well plated, but the plating, it can also keep the uh, clasp from opening. And
it
so you
stiffens
have
it a
to
little,
take
right?
a little bit of time to just work uh, the plating off off the mechanism.
Yeah, you just need to make sure that it's movable
Yeah, but it's
as
a
you're,
great value. It's a great
yeah,
value.
it is. And here's the little spring ring, also very
Mhm,
vintage. But you
mhm.
just want to double check them. Yeah, there we go. And you can see, whoops, it's hard to see there, but that's ready to go. So the fine line, the way that this closes is it has what we call the fold over crimp.
Mhm.
Okay, the fold
And
over
I
crimp.
don't do the same. You do such a better job than I do.
Well, I'm gonna,
You're
well, I don't,
precious.
I'm wielding those tools. I'm going to show you all, I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I would use these. So first of all, I'm just gonna work off of this end of the clasp, and I'm gonna just crimp it right there. So we'll start there. So, and sometimes maybe you might want to, well, maybe I'll start in the middle. I don't know. No, I'm going to start on the end. I'm not going to stray from my formula. So here, I'm just going to lay my fine line chain in there. And I pull it down until that tip of that chain is just right where I want it to be. Right at the, let me see if I can get that even tighter in there. Right there. It's kind of hard to see gold on gold, but it's laying in that little trough. Then I use the crimping plier
Ah,
for this. And what I use is the rounder. Now, this is that Xuron crimping tool that we love so much. And it has that rounder, and I use the largest one. So what I'll do is I need to line everything up. This is going to take me just a bit of time to get everything lined up here. So just bear with me. I keep just a little, like a touch of that chain so I can hold it in place with my fingernail. Okay. Then I come in and I put it in the rounder. Now you can do this with any crimping plier that you have as long as it has kind of a rounder. And see how I'm bending that that side over a little bit, and then I come in with the tip and flatten that down, making sure that I'm capturing that chain. Now I'm going to hold it the other direction while the chain falls out. Let me just get that a little, that fold just a little bit tighter because I want that first fold to capture the chain.
you could also have the chain come out by the loop further, so it's and then cut it
Yeah,
off.
and then cut it. Yeah, I have it
Yeah,
just a little
yeah.
piece there so I can hold it. So here I'm gonna come in and actually this might be easier for you guys to see. See that side view? There we go. Round it up, then flatten, flatten, flatten. But it's that rounding when I have it in that crimp. Can you see that there? How I get it nice and round and tight. And then I can even go to this second one, walk it along there. But it's that crimping tool that really, and see how nice and sealed that is? It's a little hard to see because it's so shiny. But then I can come in and give it just a little hug with the flattening of the tip of the plier. And then I want to make sure that it's in there. And that is definitely in there. Okay. So now I'm going to come in and, like Janice mentioned, I'm going to get the very tip of my wire cutter and just clip that little extra bit of chain away so it's clear. Okay.
So I
So,
used just the chain nose pliers. So will you show mine next to yours and
sure.
how much nicer yours looks?
Well,
I just
use what
fold
you,
it over with the.
here's that fold. And that's staying, that's not going anywhere.
No, it's not, but it's not nearly as attractive as yours. I knew it, but
Well, it's,
uh and
it is what it
I
is.
had the crimping pliers here and I just didn't use them. I just
Well,
uh,
that crimping plier is such a multifunctional tool, I'll tell you. I use it for things other than crimping as well. Now, Janice used those 11-aughts, so I'm going to throw just a couple on. And if you're making a little bracelet, you can decide how much of this chain you want to cover. Okay. And so I'm going to clip away a couple of Janice's drops here. So we're going to free those little beauties up. And the pretty thing about these drops is that you can use them for earrings, of course, but they also look really nice as shapes to create a negative space as you're stringing. It adds a little bit of a shape. Let me see if I can get this in there. These beads are so small. I'm going to point the larger part of the drop to the center like that, right? And then let me get another one of these. And then maybe these center ones. Let's see. This might be a little small. Maybe I'll go with this one because we just love this bead so much. Throw those on there. This again, oh, go ahead, JP.
Oh, I was just going to advise everyone that unfortunately you cannot fill this chain up completely. If you
Right.
look at any of the old necklaces that are strung on chain, there's always at least a half an inch to an inch
Mm-hmm.
that is not strung on because the chain needs room to breathe.
That's right. Because it
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
it needs to flex. Yeah.
Yes. It's prehistoric soft flex.
Right.
Oh, I can't believe these things are antique. That when I was making this stuff, they're now considered antiques.
Well, that's right. This is like the forerunner to the soft flex. When we string with our soft flex beading
Yeah.
wire, we always leave just a touch of air as we like to say. There we go. Let's get this on there. So now, if this were a necklace, this would be good to go, or the bracelet, good to go, right? Like this. And I'm just going to come in um, with my tape measure. And since this is kind of slim, plus I need the length for the clasp. Now, the way that I would do this, okay, is I would come in and I'm going to add the clasp to this. Okay, so let me show you how I do that. I'm going to use that little guy, and I'm going to open this clasp up. I'm going to open this jump ring. We're going to use the 2 pliers. We're going to get that jump ring, add it to that lobster, and close it up back and forth. Now, when I'm measuring for a bracelet, that's why I put this clasp on here, okay? Because I need to take that clasp into account for my length. I don't know if you use these or not,
I
Janice,
think I didn't use them, but they're adorable.
these little tags.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use one, and I'm going to connect it. And you can fill, like Janice was saying, you could fill this up a little bit more with more beads. But I'm going to go here and measure, and I'm going to go to 7 1/4. That's just an arbitrary length, but I know that length is going to fit. And I'm going to go a little further down and clip it so that when I put this side on, I have something to hang on to. I also need to take into account that I'm going to add one more jump ring. Now, the jump ring that I put on here was a little bit big. We've got some smaller jump rings here. I might actually use that smaller one. Visually, it'll look a little bit better. But I used that big one so you guys could see what I was doing. But there's that smaller one. Might be a better choice. But I'll come in here. I'll add this on. Put my thumbnail there so I'm holding it all together. And then I'll close this off. Okay, so I'm going to get that rounder. See how it starts to round as I put it in the rounder there? Then I flatten it with the tip. And then get the other side. Hopefully you guys can see that. And round it up. I'm doing it a little bit faster, a little bit more in Kate time, so it's coming together a little bit easier there. But see there, round it, round it. Round it up here. And then flatten. And I can use that second rounder to tighten it up a little bit too. Flatten. Pull on it to make sure it's not going anywhere. Then I'm going to clip away that extra. And I'm going to put those on together. Okay. So let me, oh, and I forgot the 11/0 right there, but that's okay. Thank you. Someone with very keen eyes saw that. But
well, that's what's nice about the fold over clasp. You get 6 pairs in a package. So if you needed to cut it off, you can't reopen it. Once it's sealed, it's a goner.
Yeah, but we could clip it if we wanted. But there's that, so that's on there. But this is a very vintage style here for jewelry making. And we carry this fine line, as we like to say, in a bunch of different flavors. So if you are doing this and having the chain show, you can accent with whatever metal color you like. There we go. Okay. So that's it. There we have it. There it is.
And you could add, if you wanted to, an extender. If you were
Mm-hmm.
making these as gifts, you could make it a bit shorter and then add like 1.5 inches of chain with a little bead at the end. And
Yeah.
so,
And
um,
especially if like you were doing something like this with this necklace right here, we
mhm,
could open that jump ring, add our little extender chain. It would be on this side. Add that little drop or whatever at the very, very end. So this would be, for multiple lengths. And it's a great idea if you're doing bridal jewelry or special occasion jewelry and you're not really
mhm.
sure what the lengths are, stuff like that. That works out really, really well. Okay.
Kate, since you're talking
Mhm.
about jump rings, could you get out the necklace that's all wire wrapped with the chain? I want to
Yeah.
show the
Yeah.
jump rings right at the bottom because I found something that was sort of like my old school that I did. So if you look at right above that first oval where I attached both sides. I
Hmm.
didn't attach the 2 beads to 1 jump ring. I used 2 jump rings there because the jump rings that come in that little kit are a little thin,
Hmm.
in terms of being able to haul a cart full of all kinds of vegetables and fruits to the market. So instead of having 1 jump ring where each side of the necklace could possibly pull against each other and open that jump ring, I gave each one its own jump ring to go to the, wire wrapped, eye pin
Hmm.
or head pin so that, um, they wouldn't open as easily. It was just,
Right. It's a
uh
really good tip. And it's opposed to, like what Janice was saying, let's say that this is the ring here, and
mhm,
she would have a drop coming here,
mhm,
and then a bead coming here, and a bead coming here,
yeah,
right? So instead of one central, what central is that wire wrap, and then these
mhm,
connect, like
right.
so. Yeah, that's a really good tip. And you can see if you do this jump ring tip, you can create all of your components and then link everything together. One thing I want to show you, and it's something that I do automatically when I open and close jump rings, and I'm just going to use this one because I've got it here. I'll use two sets of pliers here that I have, and I've got my bent chain nose and my regular straight chain nose pliers here. And then what I'll do as I'm opening and closing the jump ring, I will hold my left hand stationary here, and usually I hold that bent chain nose here with that, okay? And then with my right hand, which is my dominant hand, I'll come in and I'll open the jump ring like so, okay? I'll push it back. Then I'll put whatever it is that needs to go on there. I'll put something on there. Then I'll grab it. And as I bring it back, it's going to be a little bit hard for you guys to see this on the camera, but when you're doing this, you'll see it. You're going to bring it back, and I'm pushing the two edges together, but I'm also work hardening as I'm moving that jump ring back and forth. That action work hardens kind of the join at the opposite end from where the opening of the jump ring is. So this metal, through that back and forth action, is getting a little work hardened. So can you see how when I bring it in, you can almost hear a little click, and I settle it in there, and then I feel it with my fingers, and I look at it. See how at the top, maybe at the side, it looks closed, but if I hold it at the top, you can just see that it's a little off, that they're not exactly straight. So I need to just fix that, and then I can feel it, and then we're good to go. That's completely closed. Okay, so just a little bit of practicing with opening and closing jump rings will make um, that jump ring all that much stronger.
Mhm. How
If
many
that
times
makes
would you say you go back and forth?
Oh, that's a really good question. 3, if I had to just say something off the bat.
Mhm.
But you don't want to fatigue the metal, so that you don't want to um, break break the metal or fatigue the metal. And
Mhm.
this piece, it's called Drops of Rain. That's what we've called it. And if you go to the home page right there at beadshop.com, you'll see Janice's project. You'll see the big, beautiful pile of check glass beads, and then you will see my bonus project. So I'm going to give you guys a last look here at Janice's, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about what's coming up later today. Anything else, JP, you want to add to what we've got here? We've
Um,
talked about lengths.
mhm. I I think I just want you to send it back to me so I can wear it.
I will. It's
I just
really a
love it.
pretty,
I just love
yeah,
it.
it's really a pretty one.
The pattern can be used with any number of beads. They all, just as long as just get them to speak to each other. They don't have to
Yeah.
match all in color, the same color, but uh, just the notion of layering is so, to me, so Baroque.
Hmm.
Um, it's such a nod to the past. It just
There
reminds
we
me
go.
of, you know, Downton Abbey. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just,
it is. Well, it's very vintage. And as you
Mhm.
said, Janice, at the top of the show, you were working with those vintage glass beads and repairing that vintage jewelry before it was really vintage, right? So
Yeah,
it has,
before
or
many of our viewers were
yeah,
born.
yeah, exactly. So, it's really, I think, if you have a nod to the past, take a look at some vintage jewelry books. Both Janice and I both have a nice library of vintage, kind of just vintage jewelry books. Someday Janice will do a class and show people how antique you used to
Mhm.
antique chain before
Yes,
the days of
yes,
of antiquing
yes,
solution. Janice would teach back in the day. I'm going to put
yes.
all of us on while I change this over. Back in the day when we used to teach, Janice would teach a class around Lydia's birthday, which was in April, and it would be a vintage jewelry making class. And for those lucky students, she would pull pieces out. Part of your class fee, you would get a piece from the vintage jewelry box, and
Mhm,
that would be your starting point.
mhm,
And I have one of those pieces that we would make in that class. It was really, really fun. But it's, when you're doing a piece like this, and I do want to, maybe you haven't noticed, or maybe you have, in this piece, everybody, you'll see a couple of different jewelry finishes, right? You'll see that these pins, the head pins that we worked here, are in satin gold, right? This chain here, this paperclip chain here, this is also satin gold. It's not shiny. You'll see this fine line chain here is shiny.
mhm,
You'll see that some of the plating finishes, since they come from different companies, are slightly different. I don't want you all to be afraid of that difference, because especially if you are creating jewelry in kind of the vintage jewelry tradition, you're going to see those different finishes, right? That's just how it is.
Especially if you look at vintage jewelry, it all patinas differently.
Mm-hmm.
So something like, maybe at one point they were all bright gold and now the finish is worn off the clasp and it's copper and the beads,
Yeah,
you
or
look at
brass
the beads are at
underneath.
the
Yeah.
back or brass. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, you got to get used to things are not all perfect in vintage jewelry. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I was at a museum just the other day and I was looking at this gorgeous Lalique um, Art Nouveau stained glass belt. And I, I, I think I took a picture, I'm not sure, but someone had repaired it
Mm-hmm.
and had used different size jump rings on the right side of the centerpiece. And one was silver and one was an oval. And they weren't the little round 4 millimeter that were the original. And I was fit to be tied that
Yeah, I right,
someone would say that that is restoration.
right.
I just, anyway.
Yeah, it's like, give me that lalique. Let me try my hand
I
at it.
mean, if
Yeah,
you're going to do something like that, at least look at what size it is and
right. Make a
match
match.
it. And,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why we did so many good repairs at the
oh,
shop
yeah,
for sure.
love repairs. Love
But
them.
this looks great. I mean, this is a great suite of jewelry for sure. I love
Mhm.
it. So now this afternoon at 1:30 my time, Pacific time, and there's a link uh, in the group. You'll see. Um, we're gonna do a bead shop classic, and I thought it would be fun to do just a little extra bonus project for the takeover day. And so what I'm doing is our classic Bollywood project. We call this project Bollywood. And usually we use a Chinese knotting cord for that. This time I used the Ceylon, the regular Ceylon,
Yeah,
and
it's
I've mixed
beautiful.
it. I kind of love them, and they kind of
Mhm,
go with our little stack that I did earlier,
mhm.
this one here.
Look at that.
So here is this is that new green tea Picasso with
I
silver
love
wash,
that.
I think. Right? So, and it's just a little bracelet that slides. I'm going to show you how to do this sliding knot here. And it's a little tight at first, but as you wear it, it loosens up. And then I used those classic 8 millimeters and I did an ombre color. And I'm
Love
calling this
it.
collection Ivy Garden. Isn't this ombre just so
Yeah,
pretty? And then I have um, the one I'm going to do on air. At least it was here in this pile of stuff a moment ago, but I'm going to use the melons, and we're going to do a third for that. I'm sure I'll locate it by the time it's probably on the floor somewhere by the broadcast. But we're going to continue to play around with these check glass beads here. So I think it's going to be fun. And then I also wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. You know, the Great Bead Extravaganza weekend is coming up soon. I have 3 kits that we've made. We're going to debut the kits closer to the actual event, but you may remember this one. We call this the Expedition bracelet. I have 3 new kits in all new colorways. I'll tease you with the leather. Janice, I don't even think I've shown you this leather that we got in for it.
I loved it. I saw your
Look at
sand I
that.
saw this,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
so
I
good.
haven't touched it, no. It's
No, it's pretty
gorgeous.
nice. I love it.
What's the back
So I've
of
got
it? Is the back
three
black?
color. It's also turquoise.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I've got 3 different colorways that you guys are going to love. So this is going to be the kit. So we've got 3 different colorways for the kit that we're going to play around with that. So
With
keep
my
your eyes
favorite
peeled.
chain.
Yes, with this, what we call the Love of Lydia
Yeah.
vintage style book chain. in honor of your dear mama. We love, love this chain. So we have that fun project coming up. So you're going to see that. So if you have not already, everybody, you can find all things Beadshop, all on our social. You can go to beadshop.com on Instagram. If you do make anything, a Beadshop project, or you use Beadshop products in what you're making, please do give us a tag on our social on Instagram, and we'll be really happy to add that to our Instagram stories. Of course, join us over on the Bead Table on Facebook, and we've got a whole great community of beaders chatting it up over there and sharing their projects. And of course, like and subscribe if you're watching us live or on replay. Thank you so much over on YouTube, and give us a follow. And also, if you go over to the Great Bead Extravaganza page today, you guys, we have a giveaway going on. You just need to follow the instructions on that post, and make sure you follow our social media and the Great Bead Extravaganza social media. And later on this evening, I'm going to pull 3 winners to win a bead shop gift certificate. I also wanted to mention that today only we have on beadshop.com, you can take 20% off store wide. So when you shop over at Beadshop, you can use coupon code TAKEOVER20 and you'll take 20% off store wide. But that is valid today only, March 23rd, until midnight Pacific time. So let me get back here. Let me take off this screen. And Janice, I'm going to put you and I back on. And you can see, I found my little
Oh, you
piece
found
there.
it.
We're going to be doing this one live on air. But I think I've got a color story going on
Yeah,
here, so I think this is going to be fun. Let's see if
definitely.
we have any final comments going on here. Let me take you off. Let
I
me put
have a
us together.
question for you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where would we find that page that you sign up for the giveaway or the gift certificate? Is that on beadshop.com? Is that
No,
on,
that's on the Great Bead Extravaganza group. It's pinned right to the top of the Facebook group.
so that's a
So,
Facebook group.
and it's also linked in our newsletter today.
Okay.
So, and it's there. Gita just put it up
Okay.
right there.
Thank you,
Yep,
Gita.
it's all there. So thank you guys so much for all of that. And we really appreciate you guys, your support of our small business, because
Little.
without
It's our little
little,
business.
that's right. Because without all of you out there, we wouldn't be able to be doing the
Yeah.
stuff that we love for you here. So I'll see you guys again at 1:30 p.m. Pacific for this fun little Czech Bollywood melange. And then stay tuned to the Great Beat Extravaganza social. I'm going to be sharing some other fun things, including a sneak peek of my big studio space that's coming. It's not going to be that exciting. It's pretty
I'm
much
gonna
empty,
be there. I wanna
but I
watch
think
it.
but I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So thank you, Janice, for this wonderful, wonderful project.
Oh,
You
thank you,
guys
Kate.
can find this great product that we're calling Drops of Rain right over on our beadshop.com website. So thank you, and I'll see you guys shortly.
Bye,
Thanks a lot,
everyone.
everybody.